But if you're looking for even more shows to binge like this, or early access to shows like this, then look for this icon. That's the PBS Passport icon, and it means that video is part of PBS Passport. Passport is our way of saying thank you to our station members. Donate to your local PBS station today, and one of the member benefits you'll receive is PBS Passport, which offers extended access to a growing library of new and favorite PBS programs. You can support your station and your community by becoming a member today. Visit pbs.org/getpassport for details. Watch PBS Passport anytime on any screen, wherever you stream. It's your ticket to the best of PBS.
The PBS NewsHour has a rich legacy of in-depth reporting and strong storytelling.
Only 4 people have sat in that chair before us, and the enormity of this moment is not lost on me. People turn to us because they know they can hear from trusted sources of information and news.
That won't change a bit, even as the faces behind the desk change. Good evening, I'm Jeff Bennett.
And I'm Amna Navaz.
Weekdays at 7 p.m. on WTJX TV, Channel 12.
I got some batteries and 2 flashlights.
What's up, champ? Feel like you get taller every time I see you.
This is the PBS Video app. Install it on your phone, tablet, smart TV, or other streaming device, and use it to access more of the PBS shows you love. But if you're looking for even more shows to binge like this, or early access to shows like this, then look for this icon. That's the PBS Passport icon, and it means that video is part of PBS Passport. Passport is our way of saying thank you to our station members. Donate to your local PBS station today, and one of the member benefits you'll receive is PBS Passport, which offers extended access to a growing library of new and favorite PBS programs. You can support your station and your community by becoming a member today. Visit pbs.org/getpassport for details. Watch PBS Passport anytime on any screen, wherever you stream. It's your ticket to the best of PBS.
The PBS NewsHour has a rich legacy of in-depth reporting and strong storytelling.
Only 4 people have sat in that chair before us, and the enormity of this moment is not lost on me. People turn to us because they know they can hear from trusted sources of information and news.
That won't change a bit, even as the faces behind the desk change. Good evening, I'm
The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.
Good morning. You're listening to Analyze This with Neville James on weekdays from 8 to 10. This is the Governor Albert Bryan sitting in for Neville for 3 days. Of course, it's WTJX FM 93.1, your NPR station in the Virgin Islands. Our call-in lines are 340-718-4555 and 340-718-0761. You can catch us streaming live at www.wtjx.org or on our Facebook page, on our YouTube channel, as well as we'll be streaming live on Government House, so you can look forward to that too. And this morning, we have 2 guests in here, Howard Brown III, and we have Kim Thomas with us here in the studio. And we're talking about a very controversial subject. One that got me in trouble as well as a lot of other people on the island is people express their views about moving back home. And, you know, I'm on the radio all the time telling people you should move back home or we should come back to the Virgin Islands. And there are a lot of takes on this. And there's a whole group of people who believe that in order for them to come home, things have to be better. And then the people who are here are saying, well, if you don't come home, how is it supposed to get better? To top this off, I'm going to tell you right now, this is the longest in the history of the Virgin Islands that the unemployment rate has been below 4%, 5%. The longest. It's been over a year and a half, 2 years almost now. The unemployment rate in St. Croix is just about 4%, and the unemployment rate in St. Thomas is about 3%. And we are in the midst of a massive recovery effort that's going to require 5,000 new workers. At the same time, we have our tourism is off the chain. We've just opened our first hotel in over 35 years on the island of St. Thomas. We have another one being built at Botany Bay. Sugar Bay, which has been was destroyed in the storm, is scheduled to open sometime next year. That's another 300 rooms. And on St. Croix, there are talks about hotel development. We have carried up tourism arrivals, specifically cruise ship, almost 500%. They went from like 50,000 to 250,000 people coming on cruise ships. Airplane arrivals have increased. We have flights in St. Croix now from Frontier, Delta, Spirit, JetBlue, and we're working on some more, and some more direct flights. We have 2 airport construction projects because we have outgrown our airport, specifically in St. Thomas. There's a $200 million expansion of Crown Bay to add another port on the island of St. Thomas. And I could go, our shared economy, when you talk about Airbnbs and villas, we have now, I think, somewhere around 4,000 rooms available. And those are doing well. We're averaging around 80% occupancy. Our June and July tourism numbers matched our January and February tourism numbers. That's how much tourists are coming. So, you know, everywhere I go, there is a need for workers, but even more so talent, because all of these things are coming on now. And the one thing I think people don't know is that there are less employees in the government now than there were in 2007, with 5 times as much work, because we have the recovery and we have all kinds of funds going on at the same time. And there are more employees in the government in St. Croix than there are in St. Thomas and St. John put together. I knew that was a shocker for people too. People always say, oh, you know, St. Croix gets a lion's share of almost everything. Contrary to what, but you look at the numbers, and it's a bigger island. St. Thomas can fit in St. Croix 2.5 times. So there's a lot going on in our economy that's driving it. And I would say that if the recovery effort was a mountain, we're on the foothills. We're like just going up the mountain, because this year we issued at least $5 billion in contracts already. And there's another $3 billion. As a matter of fact, I have a PFA meeting next week. Sorry, what's today, Wednesday? Thursday, we're going to award another.
Today's Tuesday.
Tuesday, no. The meeting is on Thursday.
Oh, okay.
The meeting's on Thursday.
Okay.
We're going to award another, I think that meeting has another $2 to $3 billion in work as well. So we're going to be at $8 billion in contracts, as we promised, by the end of the year. So these are construction management contracts. So some of them are going to start sooner than others. Charles Howard is scheduled to start early next year or late this year. You have all the road work that's going on through the rainforest. That work is ongoing now. You have another $28 million in road work coming for St. Croix. That's going to happen, plus miscellaneous paving that we're doing all the time. So needless to say, there is a lot of opportunity. And I'm talking today to one person, full disclosure, Howard Brown III is my godson.
Yes.
He moved away and went to Texas and finished school and came back. And then Kim is someone I met recently through contacts who has been in the Virgin Islands, returning and looking for work, and has frankly has had difficulty finding opportunities. So, and we want to hear from you. We want to hear from the public. It's an open forum in terms of, we could be brutally honest. I know where I live, and what's here. The other thing I want to say is one of my favorite people, Rosie, always tells me when I get frustrated, expectation has to match potential. Rather, reverse it. Yes, expectation has to match potential. And I think sometimes the expectation of the public and people who move here does not match the potential of what we are and what we could be. Because this is an island. I'm in St. Croix today, folks. St. Thomas, St. John, we live on islands. And we live on very small islands. Jamaica is a big island. Hispaniola, a massive island. Cuba, massive island. There's 10 million people in Santo Domingo. There's 3 million people in Puerto Rico, big island. Jamaica is around 2.33 million. Trinidad, around 2 million. So in the grand scheme of things in the Caribbean, we are a very small place. The other thing that I try to tell people, not only are we a small place, but we have a poverty line that's around 35%. So 35% of the people live below the poverty line. And that's indicative of hardly any place except Mississippi and a few other states, the population. So when you compare us to any state, you have to recognize that we live below the poverty. Most of our people live, not most, but 35%, a third live below the poverty line. In the States, it's only at like 17%. So we're almost double the poverty line in most states. And then to compound that, we have a $4 billion economy for 80,000 people. And 2.5 complete infrastructures that we're supporting with that population. So, let's start off and talk about experiences. We'll go to you first, Kim. Tell us a little about yourself, how you came, you're from the Virgin Islands, and how you came back.
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Governor, for the opportunity to address the people. So I was raised here, not born here, but my mother was born here and her parents born here. So I moved when I was in between second and third grade, way back when. And lived here.
So just for the audience, Kim is my generation, which is what? This is Gen X.
Boomer. Well, I think you're a Gen X.
No. We about the same. So okay. I'm on the cusp of the boomers, but yeah.
I'm just under the boomer.
So this is radio, okay? Right. So you get perspective here, and we got the other perspective because Trey, you're what, Gen Z?
I was born in '98. What is that?
You're a millennial. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So he's trying to say I'm seasoned in a nice way. But anyway, I lived here, worked here. I grew up in Wim. So I'm a West y'all. Very proud. I live in East now, but when I was growing up. A product of public school here, Catholic school here, private school. I've kind of done it all. Mother was a bank teller for First Penn. Father worked for the VI Housing Authority. And so it was my brother and I growing up here. Went away to college and never came back to live. Always came back to visit, of course. My parents were here until they retired, and then they joined me in Atlanta. So I went to college, undergrad and grad in Atlanta.
You were in Atlanta.
I was in Atlanta for 40-something years.
It's the fourth Virgin Islands.
Yes,
you were practically at home.
It sure is. It sure is. So I was very much at home. When I met with you, Governor, we talked about how The Virgin Islands support system is huge in Atlanta, and it started with, the VI Club at Clark. It was Clark College when I went, so I went to CAU for both my undergrad and graduate. To the church I went to, the pastor was from here. He was my godfather. He was a Peterson, and so the church was full of St. Thomians, just a couple of us Crucians in there, and then Nicole Roebuck from St. Thomas, who lives in Atlanta, she started over 20 years ago the Virgin Islands Majorettes of Atlanta. So I was actively involved in that. I had a grandchild that was in that. And then we would always come here mainly for St. Thomas and St. John Carnival. Right. We didn't hit St. Croix too much. So I've been actively involved in and in other organizations. After Hugo hit in '89, I brought I was social service director at the time of a minority-owned, Black-owned hospital, and I brought 15-member team about 15 days after the hurricane.
So you were engaged.
Very engaged. Right. Always loved my home, proud of it. Repped all my jewelry, repped my flag.
We see the chain and the hook. Yeah. You're repping.
So, and then after Maria and Irma, also joined another organization there to collect household goods, medical supplies. So I've always been very, very connected to the VI. I consider myself a daughter of the Virgin Islands. My parents were my mother was very proud to be from here, her parents. My grandmother was a St. Thomian. She was a Peterson. My grandfather a Brown with an E. And so it's always been in my blood. I have great passion for it, and moved here for personal reasons. But while I was moving, heard your. So I had already intended to come. Right.
You heard me yodeling.
Yes, I heard while I was packing stuff in Atlanta, I heard you say, "Come back and help." So I was like, okay, this is a perfect opportunity to do that. Right. And even though I had planned to really move when I retired, personal circumstances led me here several years before that. Yeah, my husband died, and he's from the Bronx, so he did not want to live here. Yeah. So actually, his passing, as sad as it was to me, we were together 26 years, it caused me to move quicker, right. Which means I still have a good 5 to 7 years employment in me, if not longer.
Now, let me ask you that. Like living in the States,
yes.
I always, I'm going to be nice today.
Okay.
When I go to the States, it always feels like plastic world to me. So when you live there and you come home, is it a grounding that you get when you come back to St. Croix? You see people, you go to the beach, it's like you to me it's like real people.
Yes. So it's funny you say the word grounding, because normally when I would come home to visit, the beach got me grounded, right. But it might take me a day to get there. You know what I mean? If the plane landed late or whatever, it might take me a day to get there to feel that. But I came in, my husband died in June of 2023, and I came here in October of 2023 for an event. And as I walked off the plane, the ground, it was almost like you want to kiss the ground. Yeah. I felt different. I felt this was home. This is where I needed to heal. This is where I needed to come back and give back, volunteer, work. And so it was October of 2023 that I decided to move home. It took me a year. I moved back late December of 2024. Right. And so, but yes, grounding is a great word, because I had been in corporate America for a lot of years, but specifically the last 12 years I was with a major pharmaceutical company. Nothing is more corporate than that. Right. And so, I did 12 years there, and I traveled. I had Mississippi. I had all the southern states working in HIV, and And it was a lot. I was caring for my mother, who is still living with, she's still alive. My brother is taking care of her in Atlanta.
Is your mom here? Your mom in the Virgin
No,
Islands?
I could not. Sorry, but I could not bring her back with the medical
Understood.
system,
Totally understood.
system the way it is.
It
She's
is
94,
right.
and
Wow.
right,
God
and so
bless her.
yeah, so I was taking care of her for years, and then taking care of my husband for 5 years with his brain tumor, and then traveling because I covered.
You got to feed the family.
Yeah,
still.
I was the only one working.
It's real tough.
Yeah, exactly. So I just really couldn't take corporate America anymore. And then with the political landscape, I needed to get as far away from CNN as possible, and MSNBC and Fox News and all of that. Like, yes, I know we're part of the United States of America, but it just seems a little distant, a little more distant here.
We are.
And so a little more far removed. So yeah, so I needed to come for some peace. While giving back. So I have a multi-pronged approach here, is to go to the beach as much as possible, do healing, very much into a lot of different healing modalities for myself, exercise, just self-care, because I've been a workaholic. I'm a baby boomer, so we work till we drop, and till they put us out to pasture.
God bless the baby boomers.
Right.
We need some more of those.
Right. Our work ethic is unparalleled. So yeah, I figured let me come back and bring. I acquired lots and lots of skills and experience living in the States, and actually here too. I think I told you when we met, my very first job was at a building supply company that no longer, I would get off the school bus from St. Joseph and go there for 2 hours and on an all-day Saturday. And then I worked for the Department of Nutrition, and so I worked at all the nursing homes, St. Croix and St. Thomas.
So you were working here for a while?
College, and then I would come home, college break, and summers, and then I always had the job.
So we're going to take, on our break, we're going to take a break. We're going to be right back. We're going to hear a little bit about Trey, who he is, and then we'll talk about the work experience of the job search.
Yeah.
Right here and Analyze This. We'll be right back.
Thank you.
Good morning. You're listening to Analyze This with Neville James. This is Govy Govy sitting in for Neville for the 3 days. Yesterday I had a show, today and tomorrow. And this is WTJX FM 93.1, your NPR station in the Virgin Islands. Remember, we're streaming on Government House Facebook as well as WTJX.org. So if you got your friends who want to tune them in, send them a link. And this morning, we're talking about to move or not to move. That is the question. And what to expect when you come home. And what should that expectation be? We just heard about Kim Thomas, who moved from Atlanta. She's a boomer, came back home. I'm going to give you a little background on Trey right now, Harold Brown III. How did you end up in the Virgin Islands?
Well, you can hear me?
You got to turn on that mic. Boom.
Okay. Yeah, so, well, I was born and raised in the Virgin Islands, and I left in 2012, going into my 9th grade year, my freshman year of high school, when the refinery closed. So I did 4 years of high school in Houston, and then I got my mathematics degree from Texas Tech University in Lubbock, Recom Tech. But right after I graduated from college, I was blessed with the opportunity to be a part of the first cohort of the GVI Financial Fellows Program. After I graduated college, that just seemed like an amazing opportunity, a product of this administration. So thank you for that. But yeah, so it was really the financial fellowship that brought me back home. Obviously, the opportunity to come back and see my grandparents every day.
People don't know who you is. You're out to talk colloquial and tell them who you're for.
Yeah, I mean, well, my name is Howard Brown III. So my father is Howard Brown Jr. and my mother is Gisette Gigi Kanigeta Thomas. So my family is really deeply rooted in the Virgin Islands.
West and East.
West and East. I'm from Catch and Rest though, so Catch and Rest, good episode. But yeah, that opportunity to come back home and see family and gain relevant professional experience is really what brought me back. And I getting old, so you know they getting old. You know they getting old. So yeah, man, just the.
So how old are you now?
I'm 26.
My goodness.
I'm getting up there. Yes, I know.
No, you're not.
No,
you're not. Listen, I remember this child in the palm of my hand. That's how small he was. He was a preemie. And no, you're not. You, boy, if I could get 26 again, the damage I could do. but it is. What, I mean, coming from Texas, you know, you have every convenience, you know, Amazon to the door,
exactly.
Uber Eats, you know, more people, more young people to commune with. Tell us the challenges. I mean, you didn't have to look for employment because you came back, you got into the program. We could talk a little bit about that later, but what was it like socially coming home?
Well, I was home for a long time, so I was already like ingrained in the community to an extent. So I grew up playing softball or baseball in Elmo Plaskett. I grew up playing basketball in Ronald Charles. And I still have a network of friends and family here. So socially, it was a easy adjustment. And I was home all the time anyways. I did the LIFT program in the summer while I was in college. I was here for
the LIFT program for people who are listening is Labor Investing for Tomorrow. So we get college juniors and seniors to participate in summer programs in the Virgin Islands so they can start to get the connections they need in order to get permanent employment. And this program was like, you know, it's at least 30 years old, 40 years old. Your mother was a LIFT student.
I think she was a part of the first class maybe of LIFT.
And Carol Burke, when she was Assistant Commissioner of Labor, started that program, and it's still running today. So
yeah, it is.
Getting you involved. So socially, you were acclimated to
absolutely
what was going on in St. Croix. What about the scene, the social scene, hanging out? Were you bored? What kind?
Well, it's a lot different than America. I could tell you that.
Hold on. I gotta be serious. This is America. That's the mainland America.
The mainland. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a lot different than the mainland.
Yeah, it's a lot different.
Yeah. I mean, in Texas, especially in college, every night was essentially a party. You could do
But you weren't doing that, right?
Of
You
course
were
not.
studying.
I was very locked in. That's how I graduated and eventually secured employment at the phenomenal department at DHS doing phenomenal work. But yeah, so I mean, I wasn't necessarily bored coming back home, but it was an opportunity for me to lock in and focus and grow. So especially leaving college, you know, it was a shift that I thought needed to happen as I became an adult and focused on securing a home and paying down student loan debt and just doing the things that grown people do.
So you wanted to move back?
Well, yeah, especially due to the opportunity that was presented in the fellowship.
Right.
So everything just kind of came together as a perfect whirlwind, a perfect opportunity to come back. Now, of course, as you mentioned before, we have a low unemployment rate but a high poverty rate. So jobs of higher monetary value may be available in the States.
Right.
But there are trade-offs to that. So there's a sense of community in coming back home. I worked at the Office of Disaster Recovery. And I have to say that office, among the office that I work at right now, has a great sense of community. Like, I know you worked in corporate America, and I'm sure you have great friends from your previous jobs, but many of my colleagues that I met and I connected with here are going to be lifelong friends. And I know this just based off of us coming from the same background, the experiences that we've went through together to this point, the memories that we've created. So socially, I've been having a good time, but ultimately it's all what you make of it. It's really all what you make of it. And that applies to the job as well, the fellowship as well.
Right.
Everybody has had very different experiences in the fellowship, but it's all a matter of the opportunities that you can seize, having the initiative and the drive to take advantage of whatever is presented before you. But that's like anything in life. And
so I mean, from your peers, what do you I mean, your experience, you know, you're gonna have people say, oh, he's Gigi's son, that's why he did like that. But strangely enough, we don't have enough applicants for our fellowship program. The applications just closed last week, I think it was, I think this is the fourth cohort of students we have participating, and we don't get enough, because when I originally conceived of this program, I saw like 20, because I kind of matched it to the amount of commissioners we had. We had 26 commissioners, and I figured we should have at least that many fellows. The way that Jennifer was very instrumental in getting this particular program off the on the road. That's my former OMB director, Jennifer O'Neill. She focused it on financial fellows. Now, we're trying to expand into engineering, science, technology, STEM. And so we get another cohort of students that can participate in that. And I think we have some people now. It's not formally in the program. BIT now participates in this program that we're doing. But coming home as a student, in yesterday we had a long conversation about Generation Now, how we came home, what we did, how we built our homes and everything. And what we did is we formed an organization to kind of defeat the barriers we had. Because when I came home, you know, I wanted to go to work for the government, but you don't have any experience. So I can't hire you. Or you have a college degree. You're going to stay here for a second and you're going to move. You're not going to stay with me. So we created a program that people coming out of school, and to be perfectly honest, Chris Finch, when I was a commissioner of labor, told me we should have this thing called City Year. Every student would get an opportunity to work with a commissioner for a year and get that experience, and then spin out into the regular population or find a job someplace else. The whole point was, though, that they would have that experience so they could have something on their resume to say, I've worked somewhere, I've worked with the commissioner, I've worked on a high level of government. So we didn't have any money in the DeYoung administration to do it. So when I saw the opportunity, when ARPA came along, I said, yes, we're going to do this thing. And we're going to make it happen. So many hopes and dreams I had over that I would be able to do over the 8 years, but not always successful. But this is one that we did. And it has been successful far. But already people are knocking on the door. We get a phone call. I think let's hear from a caller calling in on our subject this morning.
Hello?
Good morning. You're on the air.
Oh, hi. Hello. So I just wanted to call and give my personal opinion and experience as a millennial who has moved home and has been away, and come back. So I am 33 now. I was not born in St. Croix, but I was raised here from like 3 months old. And the environment was always my go-to. As a kid, I always knew that's where I wanted to work in, and I made it happen. So immediately after high school, I went to school in Hawaii. Then I came back, finished my degree in St. Thomas because it was more affordable. After that, I went on to move to the States and worked in different agencies and different places, traveled a lot. But in the end of the day, my end goal was always to come home and give back to what raised me. That was always super important. And it still is. But I think there's two things here. I'm still happy that I think this is also the best choice that I have ever made, was moving back home.
Wow.
Because my mom did the same, right? She was making great money in the States, and they decided that they wanted us to have this life, this island life that, our ancestors and everybody worked for. So, and it was just a better community to raise your kids, and more of a village. So I wanted to do the same for when I had my son. So, we moved back home in 2020, so kind of in the midst of COVID.
Right.
So already in COVID, you were lucky in that community, that sense of community in the States. It's like crazy kind of going through COVID in the States versus COVID here. You didn't have anybody in the States, and down here you were still able to see family and stuff. But yeah, coming through COVID, moving down through COVID, and now I have been back home. August made 5 years that I've been back home.
Wow.
And one of the things I will say is I'm still happy about my move. But boy, do I struggle.
Yeah, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. Tell us about the struggle. What are the struggles? Tell us about that.
So I feel like it's the salaries. It's the salaries and the cost of living.
What do you do? What do you do, if I may ask?
I work for DTNR.
Okay. Thank you for your service.
And I always wanted to work for the government too, right? Like Fish and Wildlife was always like, oh my God, my pinnacle career as a kid growing up. And I'm also working in a career that does not have many minorities working in the biological side of conservation.
This is true.
So I feel like that can also be, I feel sometimes like I move home to give back the good to the community, but I don't get to work with the community. So that sometimes can be challenging. I try to loop the community in and open things up to give the community and more locals more opportunities in marine biology and conservation as I can, hosting internships and stuff. But I would say salary and the cost of rent.
Yeah, rent. Are you living in St. Thomas or St. Croix?
No, I live here in St. Croix.
Yeah, rent is monstrous. And it is even worse in St. Thomas and St. John. And are you unionized or are you an exempt employee?
I am a unionized employee.
Yeah. I think one of the things that is with this, even with the pay increases we're doing, the legislature imposed the minimum salary. There are a lot of people that are unionized in professional position, and this is not new. This has been this way for a long time, that are really being held back by the union structure. And I say that because you can't, it is such a problem to move individual salaries and classifications because, just to give you an example, and these are things, I'm saying this because these are things that people who are into policy and looking to live here need to look into when you talk about salary. I'm befuddled sometimes at how low people's salary are. I'll give you this example. I had two people working for me. One was in one union, one was in the other union. And one union A and one union B. The two of them did the same thing. but their job descriptions were called different things. And I went to, one worked there for 10 years, one worked there for 20 years, and both wanted a raise. So I said, look, let's consolidate these positions. You'll get a raise, but the other person in the other job who's been 10 years, both of y'all will be making the same salary. And the more tenured person said, no, I'm going to file a grievance if you do that, because there's no way she should be making the same as me. And I'm like, what do you care what she makes? What she makes has nothing to do with your salary. You're going to be making more. That should be your only concern right now. And she was like, nah. So we couldn't do the move. And those are the kind of traps that are in there, because we have a system that is now 50 years or more old, and is based on how long you worked, not how skilled you are. And those are the type of things that need to change. So, because people say, oh, you want to hire an accountant for $30,000 or $50,000, but that job description is 40 years old, and it's based on a pay scale from way before when. And I could honestly confess that is one of the problems that I really wanted to fix in government, but I don't see how. The pay structure in government could be much better, but we have 32 shops. We get 32 different people to contend with. So I'm glad you're here, and welcome home. And I'm gonna call JP and take a look in DPNR, see what union you're there. Because I meet people.
Yeah, and it sucks too, because when we're small enough in some of our divisions that we have our hands in when we're applying to these federal grants.
Yes.
And the feds are like, here's the money, give ourselves some raises.
Yeah.
But here on the local level, we don't get access to the money because other people who have the same job title as us don't have access to the fund. So it just feels like, wow, So I see where people on the internet are like, I ain't moving home because I'm going to struggle. Like, it's true. You're going to struggle, but you're also going to get back to your island. So it is kind of coming home knowing you have to really sort it out in your mind that, like, all right, I'm not going to make as much. I'm going to have to adjust my lifestyle. But I think the government, I think that we need to do better, because we are holding back young Virgin Islanders from getting home, from just doing better and just promoting and advancing themselves with these low salaries, and it doesn't make it attractive.
Thank you. I gotta go to break. But thank you for your call. We're gonna pick up when you. But thank you for your call so much. We go to break and come right back.
Yep.
This is traditional paper tickets, allowing officers to issue citations electronically, quickly, accurately, and efficiently. What does that mean for you? Faster processing, fewer errors, and a smoother experience for everyone. The e-citation system also provides immediate access to citation data for the courts and Attorney General's office, and strengthening legal follow-through and enhancing road safety across the territory. It's modern, it's secure, and it's here to help make our roads safer for all. For more information, visit the VIPD website at www.vipd.vi.gov. Check out our Facebook page or call 340-514-8006. The Virgin Islands Police Department, committed to safety, service, and innovation.
This is the
Good morning. You're on Analyze This with Neville James. Neville is on weekdays 8 to 10. But for 3 days, yesterday, today, and tomorrow, you got the Govy on here with you, Albert Bryan Jr., your governor. This is 93.1 WTJX FM, your NPR station. Our call-in lines, we open up the phones, 340-718-4555 and 340-718-0761. We got, like, I want to know once I open up the phone lines, people are going to keep calling in. So we got another caller, but hold on one second. I really want people to understand that was a really good call and shows the intricacies of salary. So I was just here talking to Kim offline and Harold discussing. So there are three classes of government workers. There's exempt. I set the salaries for exempt personnel, usually on a recommendation from a commissioner. Then there's classified non-union. We also set the salaries for them, and we give those people raises. And all that means is exempt works at the pleasure of the governor. So the governor can terminate you at any time for any cause or no reason at all. Exempt classified non-union, these people are not in a union, but they are protected by certain rights and have to be fired for cause. And then you have classified, who are unionized employees, and those employees are paid by what we call pay scales, and they have ranges and grades. So you could be in and steps rather. Step 1 is a salary. Step 2, in every classification of worker has like 12, 13 steps, depending on the union contract. And you can only start on the first 3 steps. So the union's going to be mad at me, and it's not the union's fault. Let me say that. Maybe that's going to help me a little bit. Y'all remind them when they said this. The way that the union structure was created has depressed salaries in the Virgin Islands for governments. And let me tell you why. Because for a long time, we didn't negotiate salaries. So let's say we didn't negotiate for 3-4 years. This is before Albert Bryan was governor. This has been going on from all the way back in the Farrelly. That's why we have all of these people with the retro pay that we owe. So I get hired as accountant in 1990, and I'm making $40,000 a year, right? But I haven't gotten a chance to negotiate. So 10 years go by, it's now 2000, and my salary is only made, I've only made an increase about 10% because I didn't get a raise every year. The contract didn't come through. I'm still waiting for retro pay. So by 1990, my salary is only 44. Accountant coming out of college now, minimum salary they want is 50. So the posting is going to say minimum salary that this person can make is $35,000, because you got somebody who's been working there who's made 44, who's only making 44, and they've been there 10 years. So you can't get higher than that, right? You can't get higher than that. And so that person, if they take the job, they come at 35. So until that person at 44 moves to a reasonable place, and it never catches up because you're always behind. The government is always behind trying to get contracts done, kind of be able to pay people money. The salaries never catch up. So we've been doing that for more than 40 years. And that's why people say, oh, that's ridiculous. You see this accounting position posted at $35,000. The reason being is that the unions, because you get paid by seniority, has staunched the growth of salaries. So, I mean, like right now, in this administration, I have worked really hard to get teachers starting pay over $50,000. That has happened. Police, I think, start now at 50. But it could be 60. But the problem is, everybody who's between 50 and 60 is going to want a comparable raise. Is what's happening with the minimum salary now. There's a 30% difference between 27 and 35,000 with minimum government salary. I have no problem raising everybody to 35. We could do that. I bless the day. Give them 35,000. Not the most prudent financial thing to do, but we can handle it. The problem is everybody else who we got to give 30% raise to and expects that 30% raise because you gave them a 30%. What are you saying? Oh, so the economy is only hard for them? It's hard for us too. What about the private sector? Aren't they going to the same grocery stores and paying the same price? Don't they have the same rent? So when I speak, I have to be the bad guy sometimes, but we have to be able to raise people's salary gradually at the same time, right? I said there was a 35% poverty line. The earning potential of a college graduate and a high school graduate and a dropout are miles apart. I mean, even for high school, even in the height of the Great Recession, the highest the unemployment rate got for college graduates was 4%. The highest I got for high school graduates, 16, 18%, especially if you're Black or Hispanic. So what I'm saying to you, when you look at the salaries, people say, oh, this place top heavy, and they have all these people making all of these salaries. That is the wage demand. I was making $110,000 in 2006. Just that's 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so when you look at commissioners, right? Commissioners don't have job security, and they have very complex jobs. The DPNR responsible for environmental protection, permits, or land and water use, zoning, and a host of other things. The Department of Health, 40 different federal programs. Where are you going to find people who have the expertise to take those jobs at the salaries you're offering? So I've been pushing those salaries up. Principals in the Virgin Islands make $100,000, $115,000. So what's happening is because of the demand for skilled people, the skilled salaries are moving so far away from the unskilled salaries. And most of the people are on the lower side of the totem pole. We only have 17% of the Virgin Islanders have a college degree. So that means that 83% of them don't have a college degree. So that 83% is saying, hey, what's going on? Aside from the plumbers, the electrician, the other skilled people that may not have attained a college degree, what's going on? And the people coming from the States are saying, oh, I'm a returning nurse. I want to come home. Oh, man, we're paying $70. What do you mean, $70 an hour? No, 70,000. They were like, I can't work for that. Yeah. That can't. So, I mean, I had one of my policy advisors when I first came out trying to recruit, and they wanted to come home too, and they said, well, how much? I said, well, how much you expect? She said, I'm coming home. I know how it is. I don't have the expectation.
That's what I said.
So she was like, I said, well, what are you making now? A mid-level federal employee, mid-level, $190,000. I couldn't stop laughing. I said, stay on the plane. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But she took a job at 90. You're talking about not only cutting your salary in half, the cost of living is at least 25, 30% more expensive. So, we had another caller. Oh, no, we don't have they left though. So Kim, tell us about your salary expectations coming in your job hunt. I mean, how was that like?
So because I knew I was moving here, I started my job search while I was still in Atlanta, knowing that would be difficult. People want you to be on an island, right? But lots of private sector jobs and even public sector jobs are on with job boards like Indeed or, like that. So I could see positions, right. Government positions and in the private sector on Indeed. So I kind of used that to start applying. I got really close to getting a job before I ever moved here from one of the, it's a company based out of St. John, but the person would work in St. Croix from, I guess, the EDA tax. EDC, sorry. Tax breaks. So I interviewed on my last visit here, like I think in 2024, I came home 3 or 4 times. And I had an interview. I was given a verbal offer, but the owner, who very rich guy in St. John, decided that he wanted to kind of, I guess, revamp his company, and then so they kind of had to rescind that.
So you've been a victim of circumstance.
Yes, well, that was one. I got another in the private sector here, got 3 interviews and a personality assessment and everything, and then I didn't get that job. So then I have applied for several government positions, and it's not like I want to, I don't care really where I work. I just want to be of value, right? I want my skills and experience to mean something to that position, and my work ethic and my understanding of the culture here, right? So it's been challenging because, to be honest, I didn't look January and February.
Right.
I wanted to get my little apartment together and get my feet wet, and you know,
Literally,
I needed a break.
Literally.
Yeah, okay. I'm a beach lover. It just brings peace, you know.
Yeah, it does.
So I really began in earnest again back in March. And you know, I'm not hired yet.
Right.
I applied actually to substitute teach at Country Day. Mainly because I was telling you that the government sub positions require certification, which I don't have. It would take me a while to get that here. That's a long process.
So that's another thing, right? It's like I you know, people think that when you're governor, right, you could do what you want. Like there's so many things in our government that I wish I could change that are federal mandates, and that's one of them, right? Like we're so short of teachers, and you look at all these parochial schools around here, they don't have certified teachers.
Right.
And a lot of those schools don't even have people who have college degrees teaching because you're teaching kindergarten.
Anyway.
You know what I'm saying? So you would have a larger pool of people to choose from to teach basic stuff.
Right.
And for us, it's such a barrier because of the certification. Police is another one, a heap of certifications, childcare. But I want to get back because I'm a former labor commissioner. I used to run a recruiting business as well, recruiting people who come home and work in the Virgin Islands. You have one of those resumes.
I know. It's very eclectic.
Yeah. So that's another thing that challenges.
Yeah. They don't know where to put me.
Yeah, they don't know where to put you.
Right.
And it's almost like, because when we had our conversation, I was like, okay, what's your skill set?
Right. It's all over the place.
Yes. and those type of people work really well here, because in the Virgin Islands, you don't get to just do chicken right like Kentucky. You got to be multi skilled, because we can't afford to have somebody that just does networking for a specific type of cable. Like, you know, I have a good friend told me he went to the States as an electrician, and he was working with another electrician laying conduit, and he got a call from the boss to go wire in a building. And the guy laying conduit was like, "You could wire in a building?" He's like, "Yeah, can't you?" He's like, "No, all I do is lay conduit. I'm an electrician. That's all I do, lay conduit." And that's the kind of rubber to see here. You have to know how to do a little bit of everything, because there's not enough work in any specific.
Right.
So that, I know that is a challenge
Right.
in placing you. So when you apply to these jobs, I think one of the things you need to do is to make it specific.
Right.
Because commissioners, and I talk about GVI, commissioners are always looking for talent. There's a huge amount of people looking for talent in the private sector now too, that we're ramping up all of this recovery stuff. But you got to figure out what their lack is and how your skill set fits into what they need. The other thing you said was Indeed. Even our government, okay, so now when you apply for a job, you send in your resume, in AI or an algorithm goes,
Yep.
this person doesn't have any of the qualifications, and eliminates you.
Right.
So you never even get.
You have to use the keywords.
Yes.
That, you know, of the job description. You have to do that. So I'm familiar with that. And the other thing is, I used to be in recruiting and workforce development. So I know that 70% of jobs are acquired through somebody you know. It is networking, right? And so I actually have a pretty decent network here. I have cousins that live here. That's how I got to you. Through my network. My contractor in Atlanta that worked out, knew your brother, and then he sent my resume to you, and then, so, and so through other social events.
So it is who you know.
Oh, I think so.
Absolutely.
For sure. I mean, and it also gives you a chance, we have LinkedIn, so you can definitely, I think that's a great resource. But yeah, so you're putting feelers out everywhere, which is what I did. But I think people look at my resume. My master's degree is in social work, and the first thing everybody wants to do is, go to the hospital and be a social worker, go to the school system and be. And I haven't done a social work job in a lot of years. Yeah.
We're coming right back. We're here with Kim Thomas Harold Brown III, and you're so truly Govy. Taking that commercial break. Be right back.
The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters. The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.
Good morning. You're on Analyze This with Neville James on weekdays from 8 to 10. This is your Governor Albert Bryan filling in for Neville for 3 days. WTJX-FM 93.1, your NPR station in the Virgin Islands. We're here with Kim Thomas, who is a boomer, Xer, kind of, in the middle, returning home, telling her story. Howard Brown III, who is a definite millennial, part of the fellows, financial fellows program, and I call my assistant. I said, you need to come on this show and tell your story, because she says, oh, I don't have the same struggle. I said, no, you don't have the same struggle anymore, but
good morning, everyone.
But they can hear you now. You can say good morning.
Good morning.
So I can tell you this story. This is what your name again?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Shanice Jarvis, Governor Bryan's assistant.
So I met Shanice. I didn't meet her. I was stuck in Puerto Rico, and she was a friend of my daughter, and she was working for Seaborn at the time. And I don't know. I heard them talking to her. She's like, I'm call Shanice. And they went back and forth, and all of a sudden, boom, we were in St. Croix again. We had a flight. It was lined up. Everything was taken care of. And I was like, who is this girl? But I kept it in the back of my mind. This is way before I was governor. And she was actually my first hire. Because I said, Aaliyah, my oldest, I said, I see Shanice in town. What's she doing? She says, she moved back from Puerto Rico. So you got to tell her story, like how you left and then living in Puerto Rico, came back, right? And started as a receptionist. So, yeah, tell them how you got in Puerto Rico.
So I graduated high school in 2010. I started at the University of the Virgin Islands here, Albert Bryan campus. I wanted to do nursing when I graduated.
Really?
Yeah, I wanted to do nursing. So I started the labs, everything.
You say we saved like 100 people when you do.
You see why they want to come in. So I wanted to do nursing, but I didn't like all the blood and the smells.
Yeah, that kind of goes with it.
Yeah, so I changed into IT. I wanted to do IT.
That makes sense.
That makes sense, right?
Since you are my tech support. Yeah.
And then I started working at Seaborn part-time, and I was a greeter at the Department of Tourism. So seeing people come in and out all the time and seeing travelers, people coming into the island, I wanted to explore a little bit too. So in 2013, Seaborn, the company moved its headquarters to Puerto Rico, and I migrated with the company there. At that time, I was a hub controller for them. I kind of moved up the ranks with them also. I started from a hub controller. I went to a reservation supervisor. I transferred back to a hub controller, and that's where I started to feel a little bit homesick. It was after the storms, Irma, Maria. I wanted to be more around my family. I started to feel like I could give back, and I have a lot to give back to my island. So 2018, I moved back to St. Croix. I started working as a receptionist. I took a job as a receptionist, even though I used to run a staff of 25 along with other supervisors too, but I started to feel like, I can do this, and whatever I put my mind to, I can achieve it. So I started as your receptionist.
Yes.
And
very smiling face when you come into Government House. Like, we don't want to salad people working for us because we have a lot of work to do all day.
It's funny because sometimes they used to leave at the time we were transitioning the administration. So hires and, terminations were coming in and out. And I remember a day, this guy came in to pick up an envelope. And I handed him the envelope. I was like, good morning, nice to see you. And I handed him the envelope, and he opened it right there, and his face dropped. And he walked out, like, storm out. And I was like, what? So every time he sees me, he'd be like, I never get a termination with a smile on my face. When somebody had me a termination. And then I'd be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know what was in the envelope. But needless to say, so I started to get hungry. I wanted to do more in the office. I became the administrative coordinator.
Like, how long did that take?
I think less than 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months.
Yeah,
less
6
than
months.
6 months.
I just started reading everything I used to see, because I came from technically the private sector, and then coming into government, I knew I had a little bit of understanding of government, but it wasn't as vast as I have now. So I was reading everything. Carl Knight, the then chief of staff, he had me reading everything. So I was able to become the administrative coordinator. From that, I was like, all right, so I'm ready for a raise, And Gov was like, no, you want another raise? You're gonna need to go and get your degree. And I was like, all right.
She was just moving too fast, and I was like, okay, she's not like this young lady is smart. Like we're not. So I actively make sure that we're bringing people along in government house or anywhere I can. Financial Fellows is another example. And I was like, you're not getting any more raises until you give me a college degree. Because there's no, and I want to take a pause here because the reason why we support free university in the Virgin Islands, because when I was a commissioner of labor, I met so many young women that were brilliant that didn't have a college degree. And I'd be like, why? And they'd be like, it's too expensive. I came out of school, I started working, I got pregnant, and then I started school and I didn't have the money to finish. And it is such a tragedy that we have that talent that we can't develop it. And at the same time, we're taking the young, not that I have anything against the brothers, but we're taking the brothers, right? You're getting caught up in the streets, somebody threatening you or something. You go and get a legal gun, right? You stick it in your waist, so you put it in your car. You get pulled over, right? You get charged for an illegal firearm with an obliterated serial number. You get 7 years in jail, and I got to feed you for 7 years and house you. And I'm paying $50,000 a year to send you to jail when I could have had you in college for 10, right? Being productive. And so you see the difference there, and you say, this don't make no sense. And if you follow administration, you'll see that no governor has commuted or pardoned more people than Albert Bryan. Why? Because it don't make no sense. We send in when you go to the jail, we have a lot of our prisoners away right now. And when you go to the jail, you see all these incredible young black men who are in there. You say, well, who put them in there? Circumstance and bad decisions. Because you are a product of your environment. In another environment, I might have been El Chapo instead of governor. You know what I'm saying? But I always had the resources around me to ensure that I would get here. Especially a father who's 6'4" and a little crazy, and a grandmother who believe in the switch. But everybody don't have that. So you find me, I'm talking to people, right, that got caught up in a drive-by with their friends doing something. They might have been the person that did it. It's 40 years later, and it's still in jail.
But even when you talk about that sense of community, like if you know me, my mom is like a diehard pro Shanice everything fan. So whatever I do, whatever I engage in, I always remember that not only do I want to make myself proud, but I have a village and a family behind me that rooting for me, that I have to make sure, okay, when I step out and I do something, when I do it, I overdo it,
Yeah. When you do it, you overdo it. I would pick up on that. But it's a struggle, right? I mean, coming home, it's a struggle. You mind if I ask you how old you are?
Yes. No. No, I'm 33.
So, and then you ended up being Carl's assistant.
Well, administrative coordinator, but technically, yeah. I worked with him.
The chief of staff. And then I stole you.
You did.
Back to government. So she became my assistant. And, the amount of knowledge, you work in the governor's office, you see everything, you learn everything. And now, I'm pushing her. It's like, okay, now you need to get out of here. Not right now. I got a little couple months to go, but you need to start thinking about what you want to do next. And I always say that for everybody that works for me. So you have to hold it down and go to school. And, you got a very busy office at the same time. But as Virgin Islands, we should always be promoting this. So you got job search. You got to initiate and get going as well, too. Yeah. Because, time is running out. The next governor would be lucky to have you, but everybody. The other thing, too, is, I don't want her to be an executive assistant. you know, I want her to run some stuff because, you know, she could run some stuff. You know, coming back again, Kim, you know, the job hunt. So you've been looking now for 6 months.
Yeah, pretty much.
6 months.
Yeah.
Okay. And so do you think any other factors fit into why the job hunt is difficult for you? Because, you know, people, I'm going to let you answer first. Anyway.
Yeah. So I think age has something to do with it. And people look at not so much my age, but if you're older, you have less time to work.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Which is the opposite. When you say less time to work, you mean less time in your work career.
In your work career, right, that's what I meant. Less time in your work career. So, you know, it costs money to train people.
Right.
To hire, to recruit, to train. And then you've got ramping up period. And, you know, if you're only going to work 3 years, 5 years, or whatever, some people think it's not worth it. We want somebody that's going to stay. And I think I told you the story of 2 interviews I had. I was like, you know, the people, there's some great people working here who love their job. They're so good at it. And I had 2 interviews. I'm not going to, both in the one government, one private. Yeah, private. And both people that interviewed me were like, well, I put in my notice for a year from now for when I retire.
Yeah.
Like nobody does that in the States, right?
No.
A year. Because,
Nobody.
because I want somebody as good as me. Like I've been doing this for 30 years. You know, I've been here doing this and we're looking for you know, I want to handpick them and then I want to be here to even train them. Who does that, right? In the States. And then one of these 2 places, the person that interviewed me said, well, we're really looking for someone that's committed that's going to stay for the next 10 years. And I looked at her and I said, okay, I'm going to take my job seeker hat off and I'm going to put on my workforce development recruiter hat and help you out here. I could sit up here and lie and tell you I'm going to stay for 10 years. Anybody could do that.
Right.
But in the economy and how the market is today, you know, the average length of stay on a job, especially in the private sector, is about 2.5 years.
Yeah, about 2.5
yeah,
years. That's it.
Right. And old school, you know, hiring managers and HR folks were like, we want somebody that doesn't job hop. Yeah. But you have to understand how the market is.
But people, let me tell you this. And I say this not because I am now an older worker. I look at myself and I say, oh my God, I'm going to get some dye when I finish with that job so I can become marketable.
Well,
you know?
again, right.
Yes.
Right.
But when you really think about it, you know, and people always say, oh, you know, Bryan just to hire young people. Older people work longer. They do longer hours. They're more reliable because they don't have as many ups and downs in life. The kids are grown. They don't have to leave because
childcare.
Yeah. You said that they work longer.
They work longer.
Yes, we work longer.
They come earlier because they're used to be coming early in the morning and leaving late because that's the expectation of the generation.
But no offense, like as a millennial, what I could do in an hour sometimes takes somebody that's older 5 hours.
You're right. No, I give you that. I give you that. But not in plastering.
Listen,
and also if they're computer proficient,
but
right?
even think about it now, like the way how the world is going, like they have machines that could build out. You've seen it, like houses in a day.
Yes, but they're there, actually in present. They're not virtually appearing every time you call them. They're actually there in the office. They don't. I just don't sound bad. Brace yourself. They don't get pregnant. You know. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'll
they
put
don't
my
have
foot down on
the
that
men's
one.
don't have the men don't have paternity leave. Most of them, right? And then you know their workflow is a little different and a lot less steady because they're already established in life. When you coming up, you got a lot of stuff happening. You know, if you have 2 kids that have COVID.
It's too early.
Yeah.
It's too early.
You know, that's a little slight to somebody out there. They know
It's
who
too
I'm
early
talking
for
to.
that one.
Then you can't come to work. You know what I'm saying? Because you got COVID now. But But hiring and then they have experience. I mean, and as I get older, I'm realizing experience matters because we've all seen this before. Now I'm gonna slip over like the millennials, and
Talk to we.
Yeah. You know what are the advantages? Like you said that you're my tech support. I don't want to figure out another computer thing for the rest of my life. I'm tired of doing that.
Our technical skills are a lot of the kids coming out of college now have technical skills that are not prevalent in the GVI. For example, my first day in the GVI, I was teaching people how to use Excel.
I'm gonna just tell y'all are pretty extraordinary, even though knowing Excel is not extraordinary
at all.
You would think that it's not.
But you know, I meet a lot of people too, young people. They know Excel, but if I ask them to apply that to a spreadsheet to figure out, you know, what is the average cost of butter or whatever I'm trying to figure out for that day, or GDP for the last 30 years in computer, they can't do that. You gotta show them how to apply that. Now y'all are exceptional people. I'm gonna give you that. But we talking average. Like how many more? You don't know a lot of people that are like that. I mean, your success is not only a matter of being in the right place at the right time. You're both educated. You both are pretty smart people. On average, though, you know, there is a requirement of people to train you. And I could say honestly as governor, and I said this before when I was commissioner of labor, I've said it to my children, a lot of your stuff depends on who you go to work for. And it's the same thing, like I remember Adrian's son, Polly, it's Paul Arnold, as he's referred to today. When he was small.
Disrespect them.
Okay. So he was a year ahead of Aliyah. So she would tell me, don't go to this teacher, go to that teacher. This teacher is good. So I just followed him because they went to the same school. And it's the same thing. There are departments that if you ain't cut your teeth yet, are the best to work in. Mm-hmm. And one of them is ODR. We coming right back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We coming right back right here and analyze this. 2 minutes. We're here on Analyze This with Neville James, weekdays from 8 to 10. This is your Governor Albert Bryan Jr. Doing 3 shows for him. WTJX FM 93.1, your NPR station in the Virgin Islands. Call-in line 718-455-5718, 0761. 718-455-5718-0761. So we've been having a great conversation. We're moving back. We're in the workplace now, adjusting to things. The time here goes so fast. You know, you think 2 hours is a long time, but there are a lot of biases in the workplace. We just saw that in older people are not going to work as fast. They're not computer literate. Younger people are going to need paternity leave. They're going to want to work remotely. They only want to do what's in their job description. So not true all the time. No. I mean, in both cases. But we were on the topic of moving to GVI workplaces. And listen, I work public and private in the Virgin Islands. It's the same. Hovensa experience was a little different, but for the most part, it's the same. Tell us about the difficulty of the Virgin Islands workplace. You ain't there yet, but you've been in the interviews and you've spoken to people. The biases people put on young people, the biases people put on women. Like women are like, fangs out in the workplace. And I'm just saying this because the women tell me, and I see it every day. Let's talk about coming back to our Virgin Islands work culture. And our work culture is and we have some stuff going on now. Our work culture is a very touchy culture too. Mm-hmm. You know, in corporate America, I remember my sister was down here visiting me when I worked for Innovative. And one of my employees walked in. I said, "Wow, you got a beautiful hairstyle. That looks nice." And I got in the office. She was like, "You can't say that." And I'm like, "Why?" She's like, "That could be perceived as sexual harassment." I was like, "She not nothing with her. She got a nice hairstyle and complimented." So, workplace bias.
So for me, I started off at a workplace culture with Hispanics. You know, in Puerto Rico, I consider that my first real job. And Hispanics in general, they're very loving, caring. They love to be around each other. So I went from a workplace where everybody bringing food to the office and like planning to go paranda then for Christmas or doing things, having socials, and coming back home, moving back home here, thinking that I was going to be open arms, accepted, and like helped along the way. From a lot of people, especially people that look like me. Mm-hmm. But that wasn't the case. You know, I've always met a lot of beautiful people, people who support me on my journey. But at the same time, I've met people who, you know, not as friendly as they could be on a daily basis. And it's difficult. It's difficult navigating that and still doing what you're supposed to do. Being true to who you are, because if anybody knows me, they know, like, in the morning, I feel like sometimes I wake up with a smile on my face. You know?
You sleep with a smile on your face.
Sometimes my boyfriend in the morning, he's like, "All right, like,
hold it down.
Yeah, hold it down.
Turn down the ball. Turn it down."
And I'm just like, "Hey, we're awake. Let's go do something." You know, so being around people who, and I had to learn to accept that too, you know, that.
But you think that's because you're a woman, because you're young, because.
Both.
Okay.
Both, young, a female, and I always live by this. Like, people always want to see you do good, right, but not better than them, right? Mm. So people try to bring you along and fake play, like, you know, they're helping you. But a lot of, especially here in the Virgin Islands, women, we go through and suffer through a lot of hate in the workplace. And more recently, I've started to meet other women who experience the same thing. So I'm like, okay, so it ain't just me, you know, because at first I was like, you know, you self-reflect and you're like, okay, like maybe I need to change something.
Like, that's, everybody doesn't do that. Like, what do you do?
Self-reflect.
Self-reflect. What does that mean? So what am I doing to contribute to this problem?
Yeah.
And then what?
And then I was like, okay, no, because I'm here showing up and making sure that put my best forward, and I'm still getting the hate. So maybe I need to take a step back a little bit and allow them to maybe be their true self in their space and give them the space they need to fulfill whatever it is they feel like they need to get done. But regardless of, as a female, young in the Virgin Islands, I don't want to see bad for my community, and I don't think those women or those individuals, because it comes from males too, not just females, but I don't think that they want bad for the island or the territory, but it's just how you do things.
Let me ask you a question, because I love tangents. You walk with me, so my brain will be like. Sexual harassment as a young female in the Virgin Islands. Do you feel that we are doing enough? You be brutally honest. You always are anyway with me. To address that. I mean, I see things sometimes in the community. My daughter says it best. She says, and I always call in Ali out. She'd be like, what makes you West Indian men think that you have the right to comment on my body every time I pass? How is that in the workplace? Or just in general, So,
of course, I think for me, it's my experience is always going to be a little bit different, because working in our office, the males and females in our office, I think we're pretty respectful of each other. Sometimes you hear a comment to somebody and you're like, but being raised in the Virgin Islands, again, that sometimes a man might say, well,
you are normalizing this behavior.
No.
Okay.
No. Let me explain. So you may hear something where somebody, like you said, oh, that's a nice hairstyle, or that just look nice at you, man. You sharp today, But it's all about your perspective, right? Because you could be a 56-year-old man and a 16-year-old intern, and you commenting on her dress, and you like, everyone's like, okay, let's step back from that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like sometimes walking into the office, males driving in trucks, and they're like slowing down, good morning, miss, and I'm like, good morning. What, you're going to work? And I am. I'm right here.
But it's a tone too, right?
It is. So it's not what they say a lot of the times, it's how they say it, And I think I could defend myself a little bit, but in a situation
You're
where
good for yourself.
I go for myself.
Vouch for that.
Yeah, I go for a little good for myself. But in a situation where a female who is timid, shy, who isn't as exposed to other males, they may feel offended by
ignorance.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
But what about you? I could call you Trey.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I just want to make sure, because people grow up. They have.
But before the tangent, I'm a male, and I don't necessarily deal with too much hate in the workplace. Or if I do a too good of a
Everybody
job
just
of
loves
ignoring
Harold.
it. Correct.
But you as a charmer though, you got like all those freaking.
Charm tell the same them.
all them old ladies and stuff in there. They're like, oh, Harold. All the young girls. Oh, Harold.
Gigi son the walk by we, right?
Maybe you hear that. A lot of people that call me Gigi son, but especially in my first role in government, coming in as a GVI fellow, the fellowship wasn't necessarily met with
that's true
love and open arms from all of the staff at the agencies, because we weren't making minimum wage.
Yeah.
And in many cases, we made more than them, even though we were coming in with a lot of technical skills.
You made what? I want to say that. You made what? More than them. That was a huge issue.
It was an issue.
Yeah.
It was an issue.
I didn't think it would be. I thought that, people
would be happy for
seeing
us.
their grandchildren or their children or the friends of the grandchildren coming in, making this would be like happy for them and be like, because it's not a permanent gig. It's only 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you didn't.
Remember what I said? They want to see you doing good, just not better than them.
Right.
But I think we came in with a lot of technical skills, even though we didn't have the experience. But very quickly, we learned the real world applications to execute our job functions at a high level, I would say. So you mentioned it earlier. I think we as a community will also have to adapt the understanding that skills in the marketplace is what drives wage demands, not necessarily tenure. You know what I'm saying?
So you gotta say that again, because I mean that and that's it has always been kind of like that, but it's a market switch that we have not done in the Virgin Islands, where I could say for you, skills in the marketplace drives wages more than tenure. And that used to happen when we were in an industrial age, when we were making cars and whatever, and you had factory workers coming in, driving wages all the time, and as you move up, you make more money. But in this vast, multi-skilled environment that we work in right now, you got to be, because if you don't pay, then the skills go elsewhere. And what's happening, we could talk about that a little bit too, how we migrated off. People are migrating out of the government, the skilled people, into more lucrative jobs. I mean, that's what happened with Roberto, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Shout out to him.
Shout out to Roberto.
Very talented individual.
Very, very talented. Okay, we got a caller. We're gonna stop for a minute and hear what our caller has to say. Good morning.
Good morning.
You're on the air. Go ahead.
I know that you guys are on a different topic. I'm calling from Maryland. And I, too, would love to come home. And I heard what you said this morning about the salaries and stuff like that. And now I really realize that it's much more to the salary. But I promise you, I spoke to you a while back, and I did promise I was going to send my resume. And I haven't sent it, but I will send it again. I will send it to you. But I would truly and honestly love to come home to work. I'm a nurse.
Yes, I remember.
And the salary to me doesn't matter at this point, because I am getting older, and the only thing I want to do is come home so that I can get that property up on by the valley, so I can turn that into a community center.
Nice.
That's my dream. I want to purchase that property on top of that hill and turn it into a community center for students to come and have opportunities that they don't normally have, like have computers there so that they can use. I just have a lot of dreams and hopes for the islands. I don't want to stay here.
I feel you.
I want to come home.
And thank you for that. Thank you for that. And that's a sentiment from a lot of people you meet. Like, I don't meet many people that don't want to come home, at least in my age bracket, right? But they try to figure out like how to make it practical. My brother moved back for and I think that's where I say about expectations have to match potential, right? And I think a lot of times, like, people romanticize moving back home because they're here on vacation. Living here is challenging.
Hard, yes.
It is challenging. I would never deny that. There's benefits, but it's challenging.
And I realize what you were saying this morning with the young lady from Atlanta, and I understand. But right now, I gave up a job in New York City working at the VA at $145,000 a year and moved to Maryland only to be making $93 because I wanted to be closer to my family.
Right.
But if I gotta come home and work for $70,000 a year, at this point I'm 66. I'm coming.
But you're gonna make more than that because I mean it's tenure and experience as well too. our hospitals, our schools, everybody. We need nurses. That goes without saying. That's one occupation you can go anywhere in the world and get a job. So
I
we
know
can do better.
I know that. And my thing, I have a master's in nursing.
Wow.
I've worked for the FDA. I've worked for NIH. I've worked for. I've done occupational nursing. I've done OR. I've done ER. I've done all type of nursing.
But too, send me your resume because we are expanding. We're building a whole new nursing building at UVI St. Croix. We're expanding the nursing program there. So and we could expand more. The one thing that we don't have is people that teach nursing. So there's a world of opportunity for you in the medical field here, and we'll try to at least get a salary in Maryland matched.
Oh no, I don't mind, seriously, because I retired from the VA in New York, and I have a pension there.
Oh, okay.
I have savings. Listen, money is not the issue now. I am getting old of a few years here, and I want that property up on top of the valley.
Yes, you got that. Thank you so much for the call. Have a fantastic
All
day.
right.
Okay, but I mean, that's an established person. I think one of the hardest thing is getting started. None of you are homeowners yet?
No, tell the story about the guy when you were building your house.
Start house to finish house?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we got to go. You hear that music kicking, is like, we only got one more set and then we out. Here at Analyze This, the governor talking to you this morning about moving back, to move or not to move. Right back after this. Good morning. Good morning. You're on Analyze This with Neville James. Weekdays from 8 to 10. You got the Governor Albert Bryan Jr. sitting in for 3 days with Neville. This is WTJX FM 93.1, your NPR station in the Virgin Islands. This is really fun. You know, maybe I could teach Neville job. I got a little bit more to go on this one. But it's certainly, I mean, we broached a number of topics here on this show, and some things that we could do a whole show on. Job search, things to do's and don'ts. Like I got a resume from someone yesterday, and their resume wasn't updated. And when I read it, I was like, I had questions about it. People send me their resume in Word all the time. Do not send your resume in Word. Yeah. Send it in PDF. Yeah. Because depending on what you're reading it
reformats it.
Yeah, it reformats it. And then I am on to the next. I don't have time to figure out your resume. The other thing I tell people too is, no one's core business is hiring people except temp and recruiters. So if you're a commissioner, you got like 2,000 things going on. You need to hire somebody, yes, but that's not always your top priority. Yeah. So you got to keep following up. Like I read my email, and Shanice does too, but I read my email and I answer, and she reads my email to tell me, hey, you answer this person. We need to fix this or whatever. And keeps me on point. A million times. A million. So everybody doesn't have that. They don't have somebody to help them with the million things that they have to do. So you have to keep calling people, reminding them, have you filled that position yet? In getting it. The other thing too is sometimes you gotta take a lesser position, because I know, Trey, when you on Roberto, so Roberto last name is again? Tirado. So Roberto is another financial fellow superstar. Both of them came in at the same time, first cohort, and he went to human services too, right?
Yep.
And then he spun out and he went to private sector. He's
actually with the federal government now.
Oh, he works with the feds. So and when we created this program, I told people, the point wasn't to get everybody to work for the government, but it was just to get them to come home. So the skill set, it doesn't matter where you're going so much to me, because you got a way to get in and you got a way to filter out into our community. Because the one we could quantify, and I speak to St. Croix specifically, St. Thomas too, we could quantify how many dollars left with Hovensa, how much schools were closed, how much unemployment we spent, but we could never quantify the human capital we lost, right? Your stepfather's a process engineer, right? And with a whole host of other skills, and your mom is an attorney, boom, gone. Then he left too, and his little brother. So that's just one family. When you look at the migration of talent from that one incident, and then you add Hugo, you add Marilyn, you add Maria, the amount of talent that was just demolished in the medical field, we took a huge hit. There is no making up for that. And when you think, I was just looking, they're celebrating the 20th anniversary of Katrina, and they say they lost half their city's population that never came back, right? Now we have an opportunity again to build back our community and welcome new folks in, because we just need people. But it's going to completely change the landscape of what here is going to look like. And I can probably get cussed for this again too. And I'm saying to Virgin Islanders, hey, you could come back, you can make a stake, because there's tremendous opportunity here if you want to. But guess what? If you don't come back, somebody else is coming for sure. And that person, when you come back 10 years from now, I wants no bawling about the success that person has experienced. Because it is a struggle living here. It's a struggle every day. And it's hard to get started. I mean, is even for somebody who is older, coming back home, like getting an apartment, buying a house. And when you look at the programs that we've created, VI Slice, Own a Lot, Rent a Home, Build a Home, we're giving people $100,000. We're rebuilding 450 homes to the tune of $450,000 almost a piece for free. We're giving $100,000 grants for people to buy their first home. It's all the things we're doing to help people stay and to help people move, come back home. VI Slice don't require that you live here. VI Slice requires that you went. That you went to a high school here.
No, VI Slice you have to have a residency because you have to show proof of your income taxes. I forget how many.
No, the housing finance program says that. I think this program, we made it so that you could move from the States once you went to high school here. It might say born, but I think it's once you graduated from high school here, because we need programs that are actually going to bring people back. But once you come, you have to stay and live in that house for 10 years.
Yeah.
What are some, because we don't have much time left, it's like evaporate. What are some of the things we could do as a community, we could do as a government, to make it easier for people to live here, move here, and whatnot? Anybody?
I think the constant bashing of people, like allow people to be themselves, allow people to live in their truths. We tend to look down on people when they don't have the same path to success as we do, and I don't think that's fair. And as a Virgin Islands people, I see that we do that a lot, and it tends to evolve into something worse. And sadly, people leave, and that's a part of it. But being open arms and more welcoming and more nurturing, and bringing back that sense of community that we used to have, where each one teach one. You see somebody moving along, you see them struggling, help them. You always think of the situation as that could be me, that could have been your sister, that could have been your daughter, that could have been your brother. At any given moment, you meet somebody. We go out and we meet people every day, and we see that, oh, that's Jaji's son. Oh, okay, yeah. I met you when you were in 3rd grade. Wow, and you're in 10th grade. Wow, you have to understand that you meet people every day, and they're going through their own situations, their own trials, their own tribulations, and you don't know what might trigger them. Right? So understanding that we have to remember that we're all human, and this is everybody's first day of August 26, 2025, This is everyone's first time here. So just understanding that we could be a little nicer to people.
Yeah, we definitely could be a little nicer to people. And like you said, that I am. People always want to know why I'm always smiling, because there's a party in my head all the time, and most of the time. And there's 2 books I encourage people to read. There's one called Abundance, and the book speaks about there being no lack in the world. Like anything that you need, you can get, because the world just fills gaps. Innovation fills gaps. People fill gaps. So what anybody else has, you don't need to be envious of it, because if you really want it, you could go out and get it too. It's just how much you want it and what you're willing to do work to get it. The other one is the 4 Agreements. Yeah. And the 4 Agreements is a great book, because I'm going to forget one today, I know. So the first one is don't take it personal. Like, people are reacting to whatever they felt before, not to you, because they don't know you. I use that one all the time. People always got something to say about Albert Bryan. 99% of the people who live in the Virgin Islands don't have a clue who I am. They don't know me. They just know what they heard of me, or they know what they've seen of a governor. So the other one is don't make assumptions. You make assumptions about people, their situation, and you don't know. Ask a question. This person may be coming off as brash to you. You don't know. Be impeccable in your words. Speak positive, do positive, live positive all the time. And positive will follow you.
Amen.
Amen. Yeah, and I always forget the last one.
And I can't remember it.
But it's a very short book. It's only like 85 pages. And it really helps you put things in perspective. But, everybody can have a positive attitude all the time. You understand? But it's practice. People ask me, how you get that way? Practice. And when people ask me how I feel, I always tell them, fantastic. And what it does, it always has a reaction. It makes the other person laugh. Yeah. And you will find over time, whatever feeling you evoke in a person, you could tell. People who know me, every time they see me, they start smiling because they expect me to say something funny or to say something nice to them or to make them. And you get people who when you see their picture on your cell phone, not Tore. And praying the person isn't watching you while they're calling because they're like, oh no, I am not. No, I don't need that toxic. What do you think, Trey? What are some of the things you think we could do to make it easier?
Well, that's a difficult question to answer, to be honest, because some of the main factors that keep young people away or stop them from coming back are the things that we've discussed, and they're so multi-layered, multi-dimensional. Like lowering the cost of living while increasing wages is like
impossible.
It's so difficult to do.
Yeah.
And that's why we have people like you, elected officials, who to take the heat for that and who have to try and be creative to figure those things out. Like, it's just, that is a very difficult question to answer. Of course, the Virginians has always been like that. And people everywhere have always been judgmental in that way. And I think as a community, we do have to make the conscious effort to be more positive on a daily basis, more accepting of everyone, not just young people coming back home. But the core main issue, people always say, me ain't coming back home to struggle. Me want to come back home to struggle.
Yeah, you hear it every day.
Yeah, but there's always ample opportunity, honestly, and it's not just in the GVI. They're the $1 billion bundles that are going out.
Yeah.
Private sector companies are going to bid on those. They're going to win them, and there are going to be ample opportunities of monetary value, not to mention the moral value of rebuilding the Virgin Islands and building up your community. But if it was easy, everybody would do it. And everybody's not going to do it. It's going to take us a few, hopefully a many, but it's a conscious effort that we as a people have to take the chance on our community. We have to build it back. It's not going to build itself. And you're right. We're going to look back in 10, 15 years. There are going to be many millionaires, many successful people that built on the foundations of our current situation. We're going to say, well, maybe I should have done that. Yeah. Maybe I should have taken that chance. Maybe I should have went home and do something. There are a million things that exist in the States that don't exist here. If you're an entrepreneur, you could come and you could bring that and build that on St. Croix, in St. Thomas. Easy on St. Croix, because St. Thomas is a little crazy with the cost of living over there.
It is insane. It is insane.
Yeah, man, it's just a conscious effort that we would have to take. We would have to have as a community.
Yeah, just to help. Kim, we're running out of time.
Yes, quickly. So kind of what Shanice was talking about, but from a different perspective. I was just thinking about my father, who is from North Carolina. It was my mother that's the Crucian, and he wanted to move back here. And when he went to work for housing, this is over 50 years ago, the pushback was, you come from the States and trying to change us, right? Or, use a Yankee. Sometimes we're hardest on our own. Black American man coming to an island where his wife is from, and his in-laws and everything. And the pushback that he got all those years ago of coming to work on time or early and staying late, and you're making me look bad. And I remember all the stories he would come home with. The pushback he would get because he worked 20 years in New York City. He's from North Carolina, but his last 20 years was New York City, where if you're not in the seat at a certain time, somebody is there to take your seat. So he would always tell me that. And then I look, now at, his daughter coming back all these years later. And I haven't been here long enough to know how pervasive that attitude still is, but I hear it. I hear it from other people that, the same thing you mentioned about salary. Oh, they coming back here and they want to change, or somebody looks at my resume and says, you want my job. You're going to come here and show me up, or you're going to want to change things. You're going to want to instill efficiencies to get things done faster or whatever. And we don't want to rock that boat. We're comfortable here. I got 2 years till retirement. I'm not trying to do all of that, So, and again, I don't know. I know what my father went through all those years ago, but just being more receptive to people. I am all about our culture, which is why I moved back. So a lot of people don't want people infiltrating and trying to change things. They want them to assimilate to our culture. And I get that. But I think some of the problems we're talking about can be impacted, if not solved, by fresh thinking or another head in the room that has some different experiences. And we have to be open to that if we do want to see change. It's not about changing the culture. I certainly don't want to. It's because I love the culture I came home. But do I want to have impact? Yes.
We gotta go, but we're gonna be back tomorrow. The last one is always do your best. And that's the thing that's gonna make the Virgin Islands better. One territory, always with love and positivity. See you tomorrow. We got great discussion tomorrow. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That's your homework. Look it up. Maslow, MASLOW, hierarchy of needs. Tomorrow. Have a fantastic day.
The views and opinions
Love you.
expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.